Oh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Flicker, and welcome to my usual Sky Dailies. Went to sleep early last night, and it did me wonders. What? Whatever. As far as I know, I wasn't part of the season pass. Cross-reference and you'll find the key. Deconstruct, diversify, consolidate, rest, repeat. Deconstruct old perspectives and previous understandings to identify misunderstandings and assumptions that got ingrained into the structure. Diversify a range of understandings and perspectives so as to incorporate new reference points that could better anchor you to the reality of the world. Consolidate those understandings bit by bit while picking and choosing what works, what doesn't. And from there, rest. Let your brain have time to process the information in the background. Let it have time to recompile and store down this new foundation as another reference point. So for some people, this can take a simple week. For others, it can take months to years. There is no shame in the amount of time it takes. It is simply a part of the process. After all else is said and done, and you feel ready to take on the next challenge, repeat. Remember to take on challenges that are uncomfortable but not completely overwhelming. Small victories are what will make for forward progress. Do not sacrifice yourself for maintaining momentum when you've hit a wall or previous strategies have stopped working. Allow yourself to rest. What is this? Days of Nature. Alright. Oh. Didn't download cage tag. Lovely. Ghost voices will do. The ability to convey and communicate information as best as possible without relying on language explicitly, so as to avoid contamination due to linguistic drift. Primal, ancient, fundamental. Take every advantage, every opportunity I can get without sacrificing people in order to gain those opportunities. I don't need to. I want to. If I say it is need to, then ultimately I'll incur a defiance upon myself and my own expectations, which will then make me less likely to do it. I want to log in and get. I want to log in to my quote unquote primary channel. So that way I can upload a video and then communicate as best possible for that video link over to people who I think will care about it. Because even if even one of them cares, then that's improvement. Don't have time to keep swiping the loose hair that's tickling my face underneath my headphones anymore. Can't you say? To be a writer, a story maker that creates both worlds and simulates people is a part of the process and the journey on the path, but if you lose yourself in the process, then ultimately all you do is create stories. Those stories can be used as leverage points for creating income and or marking personal progress and inspiring others. However, such things are also going to eat up a lot of time, so you can't do it all the time. A little bit at a time would work well, but then which story do you prioritize? The one that will reach a giant audience, so that way you have a foundation of consistent income and support. The one that's authentic, so that way you have a true fan base that's going to keep promoting the media. Or the one that's got deep insight so as to engage a niche audience of intellectual viewers. Authenticity is the greatest balance force. From there, you can focus on generalizing and then put depth inside of it as a little Easter egg that people who are interested in will find useful and or engaging without needing it to be without needing it to be something the reader automatically notices. ARGs are a countermeasure against psychological warfare of complacency. They may take part in the act of entertainment, but they challenge our critical thinking skills and help us problem solve in alternate realities when our current reality is currently a bigger problem than we can handle. It's an immune system defense via the very same pathogen that would otherwise collapse the system. Right, I forgot I did that last time. Stability with fire. Refine, forge, temper. and build a better future, not just wait for one to happen through media. Let's get all of you over here. Wait for you. Damn it. Okay, so you have to be on the same level as it. Oh. Damn it. Oh well, you're all in the corner. You'll help each other out eventually. So much for good intentions. Fucking damn it. Immunize. So long as that lie stays cut out from the parasite, I can actually handle myself pretty well. Otherwise, I will need it. Otherwise, will need parallel engagement through arguments and conflict in order to keep myself in a sustainable state of mind that can get things done. What's the lie? That the dense stork needs me. They don't need me. They don't need what I have. I may want to share it with them, and I may think it potentially useful to them, but that does not mean they have to agree with me. However, I cannot focus on that because in doing so, I then disrupt their system and their emotional regulation to the point where they themselves are not comfortable with speaking up because they think that the complacency and convenience around them is something that's going to continue nurturing them blindly. When no, to some degree it isn't. It can be useful for recovery, but at some point that also starts poisoning recovery. Which sucks. What kind of environments do... No, brain, no. Something to think about another time. Gotta organize my personal life at the scale I live at first before worrying about larger scale problems. build up the foundation, and then diversify the number of foundations available so that way, if one gets targeted, I can shift to another, without necessarily sacrificing the people involved. Because if I were to sacrifice people blindly or thoughtlessly, then that would just be sowing discontent and revenge that could then be used as leverage against me in the future. Okay, so in order to recover the USA to a decent state of being, you would need to balance the influences of corruption and the influences of healthy growth into three potential aspects. One, a collective community image that gets people to draw together even amidst conflict, that engages in debate and disagreement in a healthy way while identifying childish and impulsive behaviors that signify people being consumed by the concepts they've internalized and thus no longer actually putting up open space for debate. Nurture people who can break through the false realities surrounding. From there, you want to nurture people who can break through the false realities of others while also taking care of and supporting them afterwards so as to take proper responsibility and not completely leave them all out on their own unless absolutely necessary to ensure that one does not get in the way. From there, leverage resources to start building a collective platform that prioritizes quality of information and context over quantity, while allowing for quantity to still exist and be engaging. Create a counter algorithm to the YouTube algorithm, so that way we've got one that encourages decay and then one that encourages growth, not by giving it not by suddenly slamming hour-long videos into someone's face when they are not even interested in hour-long videos, but by prioritizing content that viewers find both engaging and useful, while also making sure that every time that content is prioritized, it's meaningful and a little bit longer than before so as to wean them off of shorter attention spans and increase their ability for critical thinking. From there, it's mainly resource management against the money machine without necessarily giving the same leverage back to the money machine. Because because the money machine is an extension of the overly childish people who substitute their own worth with material objects and statistical numbers. And that is an easy trap to fall into by all regards. It's nearly fucking grabbed me before. Hell, it's still clawing at me even after I started to try and subtly engage with it. So I cannot directly get that completed myself, lest I get drawn into the entertainer role to deep end. Hence why I was interested in the Death Stork. Because they seem to be naturally attracted to the entertainer role while also keeping a level head and half-decent insight, even if they don't like admitting it. They just play into the role so as for convenience, because that kind of simple pleasure is a lot more addictive than they'd like to admit. Hmm. Now, of course, doing any of this blindly and thoughtlessly will provoke a counter-reaction from that which is currently in power. So having some layer or some depth of layering as both a defensive measure and counter mechanism for stealth would be psychologically useful. Not just one layer deep, but 2 layers deep at minimum. Because then there's the surface, the substance, and the core. The core drives the prime directives and otherwise. What is this? Okay, I guess I'm helping someone with their thing. It's not gonna get in the way, so it shouldn't be a problem to help out. Hmm. However, I myself am too unreliable to use as a leader figure, and thus, ultimately, I would be better off as sort of a background support and second opinion for specific categories. They'll be able to get that, and then there should be only, like, one more left. I don't know where it is, though. Let people be people instead of trying to control them blindly. Oh, tiny one, far out. Do I need to worry about it, though? Probably not. The other person that's in the instance will probably find their way to it, so home it is. Yep, it's still an active area, so I only need to take a longer route in order to get there. Do wish there was a shortcut in the village, but I'm pretty sure it'll stay engaging enough for at least some people to remain active in it. So by all means, they'll eventually add a shortcut. Though maybe they won't because it's so easily accessible from here. Which would be rather annoying, but hey, whatever. We've got, at least on the oceans front, we've got people who have actually identified sources of pollution and plastic, while also engaging in recovery efforts of whirlpools that naturally collect that trash and plastic, so there's that problem sorted by a nice, clever person. Ground news is helping to provide more substantialized media and neutral ground, which is great because it needs to be something that's consistent and disconnected from the government as an ideal. The government can regulate things, but it should not ever be the one holding control over institutions that help the public. The reason why isn't because governments can't provide decent resources and sustainable funding in the long term, but rather because governments are prone to becoming circuses when clowns move into office. Or scapegoats, as I should say. Again, the current presidency is nothing more than a laughingstock for that exact reason. The one actually pulling the strings is not the one who's in the leader position. And like overgrown children, they're swearing loyalty to concepts that don't give a damn about them or the future of their people. Because to them, that convenience looks like a mighty tasty snack and an excuse to be childish in the short term and long term, without responsibility taken, because they think they can get away with it, when in reality, no, they can't. They'll be able to delay the consequences for a long amount of time, but eventually those consequences will come back to bite them, and they'll be terrified when they do. Hmm. Unfortunately, I botched all opportunities around the dense dork because of my own internalized shame from social programming, societal programming, so that's been a pain to kind of work through and undo, while also acknowledging my own issues and trying to grow as a person. Maintain momentum in what ways I can while investing in people who genuinely seem like they could be long-term friends that actually provide benefit to my life and aren't just there to give me praise, but to actually comment and critique me as a person, even if they themselves do not actively fight for the same cause I do. Which is the betterment of people being able to live their own lives without being turned into scapegoats and sacrifices by overly large children looking to avoid the consequences of their actions, aka overgrown brats. Can't you say? Hmm. Oh, I can hope the dense stork will eventually reach out, but ultimately that's not an option to rely on. And that's a hope I need to kill if I'm going to keep this mental state alive. Sure, I can indulge in Kamara as a fictional representation because that's going to be out of date and eventually drift away from where they're currently at as a person. Even if I've got some foundational insights correct, I'll likely have like a bunch of other ones wrong. Cover with the neutral, lead with the negative, protect the decent and good. Dismantle polite spaces so that way, though the bright shadows hiding within them can at the very least be addressed and confronted properly without enablers surrounding them. Yep, everyone's gone, but we're still here. So let's keep this going. Hmm. The purpose of structure is to serve its creator. And thus, systems and infrastructure's purpose is to support and sustain the people without necessarily allowing them to fester as people, without leaving them to rot blindly. Engaging content, yeah. Well, if I was going to make a social media platform to rival YouTube, then it would have to be something that also either devours, say, YouTube's style and formatting, such that it can start building up a net worth and net foundation of information and content of similar scale to YouTube, while also still retaining the ability to prioritize certain types of content that enable growth and nurture resilience, even in the face of confusing circumstances. I know I myself cannot be the leader, so at best I'm second in command, if not advisor position. Either that or a specialist who's referenced in contexts that require my specialization. Trying to do this all by myself is not possible, and by all means, I wish I hadn't been so fucking stupidly prideful and indirect around that fence dork. Prime opportunity in both making a solid friend and also making a solid friend who would actually engage in these kinds of conversations if they felt safe and comfortable, while also frickin' providing a social space for me to rest and recover in so long as I don't fucking bother them. I knew that from the beginning, and yet my brain still fucking rebelled against me because it hadn't processed through this very thing that it needed to stand on. And so we got hijacked by an illusion. Thankfully, though, we did make the conscious effort to fight that illusion, so ultimately the impact and scale of it relative to the toxic shame we felt around it are not proportionate. Candle pile. No? Oh, there it is. I can actually stand on that? Hold up. Cool. Okay, there's a crystal shard and fragment. Again, I am my own foundation, my own resource, and otherwise. It is worthwhile to invest and nurture in myself qualities that will assist me in the future, while also recognizing that I cannot be used blindly like a machine because I am my own person and have my own needs. I have no doubt the dense dork is starting to become aware, at least, of the predicament they've gotten themselves into yet again. But since I can't be there to save them, they're gonna have to struggle and figure it out on their own. I believe they are capable of doing so after all. I just hope that they don't give in to this fear blindly, because that is more convenient and more comfortable and familiar to them than I would like to acknowledge. After all, it means no struggle. It means no having to do weird or uncomfortable things in order to see if something was wrong. I wish I could count on them, damn it. And I wish I could count on myself, too. Ugh. As it stands, counting on myself and expecting unreasonable requests is not going to help me find my way forward, or leave an impact. I'll have my indulgences and otherwise in the background, but those indulgences and otherwise shall not outweigh the point of my efforts. If I were to do that, then I would be betraying the meaning behind those efforts. Hey! And thus be wasting my own damn time. Can't you say? Might as well. Though I doubt, no. You can find the other platform and use that as a reference point. There's a changing objective. His previous objective was just to find this thing. I was hoping to use my own attachment as incentive for the Dunstork's growth, but if they could take it for granted, then that's not an option, it's a liability. After all, the ability to find someone like me who genuinely believes in them and wants to foster their growth as a person, while also willing to be honest and straight with them, even when they don't like it, they're gonna have a hard time finding that, as far as I'm aware. But that could simply be an interpretation of what I know that isn't accurate to who they are as a person, in multiple ways. I could have picked the wrong person or otherwise, and less debating, more doing. And I've still got to think about this foundational skill of my own life, get an income, despite these narrowing odds, constrictions they placed on society around us. Flame of hope has not gone out yet, and the spark of hope is stubborn. It doesn't die easy. It goes out fighting and then gets back up every now and then. Even when someone thinks it's dead and gone. I aspire to be like that. Because that builds futures. That nurtures and secures the present. That brings value and meaning into people's lives. need to have firm boundaries around the concept of the Dunstork, and or the person themselves if I'm going to actually make forward progress without my time being eaten up completely by refining the concept and idea of Kamara as a narrative perspective, reference point, and communication tool. Because even if the dense dork doesn't stick around, there will be other people like them who might eventually see some of the very things I want to share with the dense dork. And oh, hello. You goobers are still around. Neat. Nice to see you. I can't put this level of pressure and focus on other people, though, otherwise they collapse underneath it because the already existing pressure and stress upon their structure and system. So that's not an option. Better to let people live their own lives and learn for themselves than to try and force them into something that they would have eventually learned anyways without me. Please be kind to yourself, you dork. Damn it. Not blindly or indulgently kind, but reasonably and nurturingly kind. If you can't tell the difference, then it shows that you've got room to learn and grow as a person. And I value that. Because I know you will make the efforts. I know you're not just going to forget me. Though it would be very easy to, considering that you've already found in a short time several people who could have replaced me, some of which just didn't last in the long term. And there's the current one who seems to be beneficial, and so long as you don't get hurt, I'm fine with leaving that the fuck alone. Alright, there's that. Shit. Alright then. Rallying Thrill Seeker's memory from Daylight Prairie. I do hope they haven't disabled the recharge mechanic. Okay, no, that has not been disabled. It's just relative to environment. Okay, good. I managed to make the effort all the way. Hmm. If I could find someone who knows how to code and program and actually enjoys doing it to the technical end and not just the aesthetic and personal purpose end, that would be great. But as it stands, the current industry is eating people up like that up like wildfires. And even then, sometimes it just keeps on misusing them, telling them, ah, yes, fucking lower the quality of your code to regulate with standards. And it's just like, what the fuck? You have geniuses on your side and you're telling them to give you worse quality shit? Are you stupid? Oh wait, yes you are. Because you're more worried about fucking appearances than you are your own future potential and growth. And I can't blame people for being stupid over that because fucking hell, I fell into that trap. I keep falling into it even though I'm actively trying to fight against it. And it's frustrating as hell. Because if you don't care about appearances at all, then ultimately you're going to be run over like a fucking deer in the headlights. At the same time, if you do care about appearances too much, then ultimately you're going to get consumed by the the dysfunctioning world machine that is the childish people that are warping the structure to their benefit and destroying parts that were supposed to self-regulate them into healthy people. And unfortunately, a lot of other people who would sit on this level of intellectual conversation would ultimately not be able to handle my style of dealing with it because they still have their intellectual pride blinding them from the fact that they can still learn valuable things from interacting with regular people. Thus, they don't actually navigate through social root space to address the foundation of other people's lives and where other people are at. Because if you don't raise the floor, then how can you reach the ceiling? It doesn't make sense. And if you keep destroying the floor, then eventually you'll have no foundation on which to stand on top of, which means that your luxury lifestyle will go up in smoke when when there are no more functioning people to actually fix the system. Dandelion, forget me not, thistle, and a pine cone. Too far, too late. We'll make it, but it's going to be close and annoying and fucking. It's a fucking. I swear, if I could be more productive, I would have a better life and less stress. But no, my own brain is a fucking challenge too, and I can't ignore it lest I self-collapse and become functionally useless as a person. On one end, I got set back by my own fucking mistakes. On the other end, damn it, I really wish I hadn't shot myself in the foot so many times as to leave the other person thinking less what ifs about the past, more getting stuff done now. Can't you say? Wielding my own death. Yeah, no shit. Deconstruct, diversify, consolidate, rest, repeat. Deconstruct, diversify, consolidate, rest, repeat. Deconstruct, diversify, consolidate, rest, repeat. Okay, good. I don't need to do that then. If I don't practice, then I'll never learn. Flickr's Wild Archives, Flickr's Personal Pile, Flickr's Scrap Archives, Flickr's Primary Pile, Flickr's Forest, the Resting Grounds. Yeah, that's annoying, but whatever. Who cares if I got that over there? I'm over here right now, and we need to keep moving. After all, I completed another entire zone earlier, so I don't need to worry too much about that. Keep the fire alive, but do not sacrifice others to do so. A good way to contribute would to be reset once a month. If I can do that consistently, then that'll help me stock up on the Ascension candles, which I can then use for recharges and other things, and for filling out the tree. Right, no more daily candles, because season is over. Days of is upcoming, though. And then after that will be Days of Color. I need to stop putting so many of my bets all in one basket. I can keep nurturing that little by little and make sure that I'm adequately prepared for when one does pay off, but ultimately I don't want to place all my bets in one place because that's the very same thing that's going to drown me and make me lose not just my money and effort, but my time too. The foundation of any society or civilization is the people. Not the ones who hold the most capital, but the people. Because when the people are no longer sedated, they are a dangerous force. The fact that they figured out a way to sedate the people is one of the most annoying things possible. Convenience really is a drug. Sometimes it'll help you in areas of your life if you really need it to, but other times it'll cripple you. I am the ghost in the back of your mind. Can you hear my voice? Instead of fearing me, use me, challenge me. Face yourself, and be rewarded in growth that cannot be taken away from you. Is to prove that you can do something once means to prove that you can have a chance of doing it again, even if you have to use a different strategy the next time. And if you can consistently do the same thing over and over again, even after losing progress and effort, then ultimately you have shown competence in a way that most people don't, while also refining and deepening the foundation of your skill set. I still believe in the Dunstork as a person. I just fucking... Nope, don't linger, don't stop. Grief can have its time off recording. Not on recording. Don't want to feed it. Don't want to feed the idea that that will be around forever, and we won't. Nice to meet you. Information storage, sorting, and organization, summarization will be important as a part of such a fucking social media system. Oh. If you're gonna bring someone to life, then you should be responsible for them. If you are to break someone's false worldview, you should be there to support them through it. That is responsibility. It is the reason why institutions should not have rights over people's bodies. You're so worried about being a bad person that you're failing to realize the harm your good intentions are doing. And we don't have time for that. This is a survival situation, and the wild is currently creeping in on the edges of society. Let alone trying to breach out from the core within society. Fucking damn it. Right. Light. Damn it! Ugh. Can't you say? I do wish there were still lingering sunflowers here, but oh well. Can't have your cake and eat it too, unless you're willing to steal it from your alternate self, which really isn't a good idea. It's rather rude. Please don't be interdimensionally rude, if you can help it. Respect the laws of the reality you are in, even if such a reality is not your natural foundation. Please and thank you. Be that a social reality or otherwise. However, if you choose to be rude, then in doing so, you know that you are choosing to take responsibility for yourself, correct? If you think not, then you are an overgrown child. Immunize, immunize, immunize. I wish my brain could operate at this level all the time, but then I'd just be caught up in worrying and thinking and would forget to live my own life. So there is a cost to using this mental state, just like any other. Altered states of mind. Gonna go refill water while I wait here. Be right back. Still nothing and no one? Damn. Thank you. Hope you have a good day. If I'm gonna go home, I'll want to do so while sitting kind of right here, so that way the doors remain open until I leave, which gives the optimal chance for a server merge where someone just has the doors open for them while they're all alone. Frustration is a necessary part of life. If you deprive yourself of it, you slowly suffocate your sanity. Yeah, no. Can't you say? Isolation is a good defense, but it leaves you vulnerable to starvation. So ultimately, it's not a long-term option. There's a clown with a crown, his sound is so loud that I can't for your sake hear you out. Fucking Kane being referenced there. I lost my mind, and someone help me find it. I feel the pain, but they told me not to mind it. I lost my mind, it's somewhere out there stranded. And it's a shame, but I hope you understand it. Would be nice if there was a child of light under that bridge, but as it stands, that's just a history lesson in the lore of Sky. Really wish you wouldn't do that, game. Really, really wish you wouldn't do that. And I wish I felt comfortable sharing this part of myself around others, but as it stands, it would intimidate them, and I don't want to deal with that. Because then I don't get to any fucking social interaction from people, and it's boring and lonely. It makes me vulnerable for being isolated by people who want to manipulate me. No, thank you. Damn it. Oh well. Neat. Didn't expect that. Learn something new every day. No. Yes. Damn it. Get to say. If I phrased it as that, then I'm only going to discourage myself from doing it for fun, which then turns into an obligation I would avoid. So no, I do not have to demand of myself that I go up to the mountain every time and help other people out. I can go there for dark butterflies, and if I want to while I'm there, I can help people. I don't have to every time. Because then that would reduce the meaning and substance behind it. Would wear me out too. Alright, you. Should have gotten you while I was still flying. Okay, that reset that, whatever. I am the ghost in the back of your mind when you hear our voice. Can you see me? I am the ghost in the back of your mind when you hear our voice. Can you see me? We're at 11. Point is get 12 and then 13. Hello, morning alarm. Mix my acquired natures with my original natures and use that to make forward progress. So that way it's authentic and doesn't burn out nearly as easily. A little bit of trickster, a little bit of selfish and greedy. Use what you can of each nature each day. Every time I wake up, each nature has a different amount of energy available than it had the day before. So I need to plan around an adaptive strategy for that. It all comes down to resource management. They don't want me or need me. Even if they were to want or need me, that does not mean I'd reprioritize around them. That's what fucking messed me up. Is the depth of attachment had me reprioritizing around someone who did not feel the same, or even consider me worth interest, after they saw my flaws and insecurities. Meanwhile, I still considered them of interest even after I saw their flaws and insecurities. Frustrating bitch. Adorable, lovely goober that I can't have. Okay, so long as no one's losing their light, everything's good. I know Sir Scooples found some fun in micromanaging in terms of idle games, but I don't think that's I ultimately think them losing themselves in that is ultimately what's taking up most of their time and costing them the ability to relax and rest. Optimized for functional growth, not profitable growth. I cannot and will not save you from yourselves. I am not your fucking excuse. Get that childish notion out of your mind and respect me as a person, or fuck off. Bugger. Damn it. Good prank. Good joke. I'm the ghost of elders past. Give me hearts. In-game currency, not your actual heart, you lose. Protect your actual heart with your fucking life, damn it. Oh, that was the opportunity I missed out on. I knew I was overlooking something. Damn it. Alright, there's also Winged Light at Prairie Mountaintop. Gonna want to grab that while I can and while I'm remembering, so that way I don't take that time out of my other days in the future. I hope if they are watching this that the dense stork is kind to themselves or things they couldn't have known about, and also in regards to fucking how deep societal conditioning goes. Because holy fuck, they've had more time for that to kick in than I have. So that is an advantage on my end. They've had more time with the functioning world than I have. Hello, this is your local terror, and today I'm going to be scaring the shit out of you for your own health. So get your ass up and fucking move. Yeah, no, by going for that one first, then over to here, over to Mountaintop, and then down to there, that takes the least amount of time. Made it, just barely. Days of Nature is gonna happen here, most likely. Old events are going to still happen, while the new events will be in a different location. Hopefully in a different kind of a biome and environment, so that way it gets the point across that to natural disasters and pollution of nature happens in multiple types of environment and not just one. People doing their part in what ways they can is a necessary function to live a healthy life. Nighttime, could you please stop dimming my screen? Oh wait, no, that's Microsoft's adaptive brightness being a bitch. Thank you. I'll cover the distance. It'll be annoying, but I'll make it. Unlikely to be able to get a recharge off of that when Vol is still right next to me. Would have been nice. Maybe I'll do that on... No, on the way down isn't going to help me much. Would involve strength increasing. Can't you say... Nurture fundamental and foundational growth, as opposed to just monetary growth. These resources are necessary for active functional growth, but they are not the core of what growth is built around. Growth is built around people. And if you don't nurture the people, you don't have anything. And that said, I do think the current school system is completely bullshit. Ah, yes, let's educate people immediately. Beyond, like... not in the sense of, okay... No, if you could alternate school with work in such a way where people are incentivized to go out and try and apply things that they learned in school out on the real world for an entire year before going back into school, that would help things stick more and allow for better appreciation of what the education is giving them. Because if you don't have experience with the outside world, then you won't understand how all these things being taught are useful and necessary. Sometimes, some reason. Alright. There's gonna be one all the way over there behind the rocks. Can't you say? That'll give me a good opportunity. Yeah. Because now I've got a respawn point there, spawn point there. So after grabbing this child light, child support really, and then going through the cave, I can do the usual respawn loop to cut time out of my travel. Alright. Yeah, that works. And because of the torch in my hand, I'll get a fourth wing flap out of this within enough time to avoid the windwall. Which will help me make it there without fucking getting blasted off into the savannah, the desert, the ocean shoreline, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Hmm. Should I go grab food? Eat. Yeah, eat out of the cereal box. Okay. Server merging for this area is fucking terrible. Only I could pick up one of these fucking candles, attach it to the end of my torch, stick that torch right down in front of this, and then go over there and fucking... I'm gonna take a break, go get myself some real food, do my chores, and I will be right back.